This state has 441 delegates. Bernie Sanders could come out of that state potentially with every single delegate, and that's where the challenge is for the rest of these Democrats.
Jamie, I see you standing next to the guy you're going to beat right there, maybe. Lindsey Graham.
Tim Scott.
Jamie?
Tim Scott.
Who's that?
That's Tim Scott.
I'm sorry. Oh, it's the other senator, Tim Scott. What am I saying? Big mistake. Mistaken identity, sir. Sorry.
The humiliating fall of MSNBC's Chris Matthews. I mean, I don't want to be cruel, but there's just no other way of putting it. The ultra-liberal Chris Matthews has shot himself in the foot so many times that there appears to be little that can save him now. We're going to take a look at what's happening to Matthews and why he looks to be the next victim of the increasingly woke Democratic Party that he has up until now so faithfully served. You're going to love it. Greetings, everyone. Dr. Steve here. It's wonderful to be with you as always. A super happy Monday to each and every one of you. If this is your first time here at this channel, we post 2 videos a day analyzing current events in light of super awesome conservative trends so you can live in the present in light of even better things to come. So if you haven't already done so, make sure to smack that bell and subscribe button. It'd be an absolute privilege to have you as a regular part of this channel as we together celebrate the inevitable collapse of left-wing globalism, the unstoppable rise of a new conservative age. We help you to think better so you can feel better. Before we get into the colossal fall of Chris Matthews, make sure to download your free gift, which we put together just for you. We're calling it our Fake News Antidote, which is a compilation of about 20 sites that I go to for my news each and every day. You can download it completely free at the link down below in the pinned comment section. I think you'll find it a very enriching resource. We've already had several thousand downloads. And finally, we had a super awesome webinar a few weeks back on the coming rise of Christian civilization. So what this involved was a deep dive. I put together a full PowerPoint presentation on all the statistics and studies that are showing the unstoppable rise of a new conservative age. And so we had several dozen people registered for the webinar. And when it was time, when the webinar went live, I was slated to only go for about an hour, but instead, I think we went for like a whole 2.5 hours with Q&A from the audience and everything. It was absolutely amazing. Well, guess what? We've now got the video of that webinar loaded up, and you can now watch the whole thing in its entirety. It's such an important resource if you want to know precisely why we can expect a new conservative age to rise up all over the world. I go step by step through the entire process. It's a deep dive, and you can watch it as many times as you want. And we're giving it to you right now at an insane discount. So make sure to click on the link below. Get that webinar for your library of personal enrichment. And again, if you order now, you'll get this. You'll be able to look at it today at an insane discount, and it'll change the entire way you're looking at the world. I'm really, really excited about it. I know you will be too. So click on that link down below. But I can tell you who is not excited today, and that is one Chris Matthews. That thrill he felt up his leg whenever he heard Obama speak, I could promise you is completely gone. The MSNBC host is coming off an absolutely disastrous week. As Fox put it, it was a week filled with gaffes, controversial moments, and accusations of sexual harassment. Matthews was noticeably absent from the network's coverage of the South Carolina primary on Saturday, and speculation is already swirling as to whether Matthews, quite frankly, will have a job anymore. So what's going on here? Well, if you're not familiar with things, all right, so just to be clear, Chris Matthews is one of the most liberal, frankly, odious left-wing commentators on television. He hates Republicans. He hates nationalist populists. He's a shill for the Democrat Party like few others. He doesn't even try to hide it anymore. But alas, there have been a number of recent incidents surrounding Matthews that appear to be the final nails in the coffin of this very gaffe-prone left-wing activist disguised as a journalist. And no, I'm not talking about his utterly and completely embarrassing confusion, right? I mean, you want to talk. Oh my gosh, you want to talk about completely cringeworthy faux pas when he confused the black Republican Senator Tim Scott with the black Democratic candidate Jamie Harrison, who's trying to unseat Lindsey Graham, who, of course, it ain't going to happen in a million years, but MSNBC is so left-wing that they actually give this guy Harrison the time of day, even though he has no chance of winning. What was happening here was that Matthews was interviewing this guy, Jamie Harrison, and he was showing a video from President Trump's rally in South Carolina earlier that day, and the camera panned over to this guy, Harrison's opponent, which is Senator Lindsey Graham, who's going to slaughter Harrison, but nevertheless, Harrison is black. And so standing next to Lindsey Graham is the other South Carolina, Tim Scott, who's also black. And so freaking Matthews is like, hey, Jamie, I see you're standing next to the guy you're going to beat over there, right, Lindsey Graham? And everyone behind the camera is whispering to Matthews, dude, that's Tim Scott. It's Tim Scott. And Matthews is completely clueless. So this guy, Jamie Harrison, he doesn't even know how to answer him. He starts looking at people behind the camera like, what do I say to him? And the whole time, it's so perfect. Matthews is like, Jamie, did you hear that, Jamie? What were you doing standing next to him, Jamie? I mean, it doesn't get more cringeworthy than that. But no, I'm not even talking about that embarrassment. No, I'm talking about Matthews having the unmitigated gall to call out Bernie Sanders as an electoral disaster over and over again. Matthews is coming out as the chief Never Bernie spokesman because he believes that Bernie's going to be completely clobbered by Trump, as he will be. He's pretty freaked out about Sanders' Marxist socialism, and so he went so far as to compare Sanders winning Nevada to the 1940 invasion of France by the Nazis, which he later had to apologize for. But he's been completely unrepentant in his assessment that Sanders is it's a political disaster for the Democratic Party. Matthews has stated repeatedly that Sanders would be crushed in an election against Trump, and again, he will. And so, as a result of his Never Bernie stance, I don't think the timing is coincidental on this, but shortly thereafter, Matthews, shortly after he started to oppose Sanders, he got Me Too'd. He gets accused of sexist behavior by a former network contributor who claimed that Matthews sexually harassed her repeatedly. Writing openly for GQ, journalist Laura Bassett penned what Fox News is calling a sweeping indictment of Matthews, claiming that Matthews routinely used sexist language with her, which she claimed undermined her ability to do her job in a professional manner. Now, keep in mind, this is not the first time she wrote about this. It's very interesting. She wrote a column back in 2017 accusing a cable news host of sexual inappropriate behavior, but she didn't mention who it was because she said she was too afraid to name him out. Well, shit, not anymore. Isn't it interesting she's not afraid anymore? And the reason she gives that is because of Matthew's supposed sexist exchange with Senator Elizabeth Warren. He, as I understand it, he dared to challenge the veracity of the woman's claim that as a former employee of Mike Bloomberg, he told her to kill her baby when she informed him that he was pregnant. Now, to be honest, I didn't see the exchange between Matthews and Warren. Warren accused Bloomberg of that, but it clearly upset Bassett and a number of others. But Bassett's accusations are not the first regarding Matthews. Now, Amber Athey, who's covered Chris Matthews for years as a reporter for the Daily Caller, she said that Matthews has been dogged by allegations of sexual misconduct on his show for years, including at least one case of a former staffer being paid off back in 1999, his so-called separation relation payment. So back in 2017, Athey reported that NBC paid an assistant producer on MSNBC's Hardball with Chris Matthews $40,000 back in 1999 to settle sexual harassment claims against Matthews. And so Athey's making the point that Matthews is learning the hard way that you have to abide by leftist dogma. You have to demonstrate yourself totally loyal to all things cultural Marxist, or you risk being canceled. You risk falling victim to cancel culture. And I think that's precisely what we're seeing. Earlier last week, the head of the women's group Ultraviolet called for MSNBC to fire Matthews because of the way he challenged Elizabeth Warren following the Democratic debate last Tuesday night, which in and of itself was an absolute debacle, right? It was a disaster. And, you know, this lady there is not alone. The usual cabal of left-wing propagandists are all beginning to clamor for Matthews' deplatforming, which is appearing, well, frankly, rather inevitable at this point. So the Daily Beast, Slate, the Huffington Post, even the Daily Show, they're all gunning for Matthews now, questioning why he's even on the network to begin with. So it does appear that Chris Matthews has upset the gods of cultural Marxism and has thus become the latest unwitting liberal to get cut down by the very cancel culture he once so loyally promoted. Now, before you go, I just uploaded a great video on the Slovakia elections over the week, and I think you'd be very pleased about the results for the rise of a new conservative age. So make sure to click on the link, and I'll see you over there. God bless.